Django environment. And we have Quickviews. Quickviews needs installing. Let's go into demos and put something in settings, into the site folder, and just list it in settings. Right, now let's say you are a Django newbie, or you just thought you'd try out Django, see what it's about. Inevitably, you are going to come across a description of the admin, which usually comes pretty early. So, let's go and have a look at admin on the demo site. Whoa! Pretty good. I mean, if you're used to an MVC architecture or MVC web frameworks, this will probably come as quite a relief. This is actually a kind of fully fledged web kind of configuration page for setting up the configuration. Look, here's our model papers, and we can add them and change them. We can have a look at the list of things we have in already. If you're a user of, say, Drupal, this will maybe be a little less impressive. You're used to seeing something like this. If you stumbled from a full-on content management system into Django, you'd just be going, well, hey, that's what I expect. I'm afraid you wouldn't get that with several other smaller scale, or should we say model-based kinds of apps, web building apps. So you pile on, you think maybe Django's for me. Maybe it isn't. It was looking pretty good with the admin. And you build yourself maybe a view on a model, and that's going okay. In fact, let's get a view on a model, shall we? There we go, looks good. Then you maybe do something that you think a practical website really needs. It needs some forms. Not all websites need forms. Not all web apps need forms. There's a whole question of REST delivery, for example. Just delivering data down the web. But, okay, you want to build a website and you thought Django might do it. So you think, let's add a form. The first thing is the documentation is going to be kind of difficult. You got to hope you're not using Django's main documentation. But maybe you stumble through it. Maybe you use, say, part 1 video that I had and you just pause that somewhere, you copy some stuff out, although if you did use that, you've got a slight clue to what's coming. She's, whoa! There's the web form. Quite what you make of this may depend on your kind of outlook and expectations. If you like to build little websites for people, if that's your job, you're going to look at this and you're going to think Django's not for me. I can't put that out to a client. And you'd be right. If you were a firm who had some stock CSS hanging around and you do Django all the time, well, maybe you'd have dressed all this up anyway a little bit. given the client some kind of mock-up, you're certainly not going to give them that, that's for sure. Not even with the sort of partial, hey, it's going to come okay, good, in a couple of weeks. I guess if you have some talented CSS guys and designers and stuff, you might have done a mock-up of the CSS instead. Another thing is, if you're a beginner, this is kind of depressing. This is really quite standard for a kind of MVC level architecture, but architecture of web things. But if you're a beginner, that's kind of a setback, isn't it, really? I mean, you might actually be wanting to enter some data, and this is actually nearly at the point where it's been a bit unhelpful about entering data, you know, just to keep working on your gear. At which point you may just want to consider Quickviews. This model is actually my demo model paper, and it will allow you to use Quickviews. Remember how depressing it was there? Admin was the actual admin thing, and it all seems to be pre-rendered and done nicely and allowed you to configure. And now we got to the actual web-facing thing, and it's just challenging us to do everything, except if we use Quickviews. And all of a sudden, our public-facing forms look a lot better. And this is the probably main, I'm not going to go so far as to say selling point. This is the main delivery of Quickviews. It makes the front-end forms look okay because they have built-in generic templating, which is kind of close in looks to the admin, but not exactly the same. And I'm sure you can see the difference between this and the bare naked Django forms. Quickviews also has another thing built in besides this generic templating. In fact, it has several little tweaks built in. But probably the main one is it tries to make things consistent. I mean, it's not terribly inconsistent, but it really tries to make things consistent between all the views, the different views, which means you get what Django calls a detail view. That is a view of one object. And it tries to make that consistent. So there is one, and this is the interesting thing just before I hit on this button. This is actually a full-on cell renderer. If you're used to C code, you know, the archaic programming language, which actually drives and is behind Python, you will know what a cell renderer is. I mean, really, it's kind of like the widgets you're able to attach to a form. In Quickviews, you're able to attach widgets to the data within an instance of a model. So what can I say? At least it looks kind of better than this, which is a basic delivery from a view. Whether that matters to you, I do not know, but that's what Quickviews is about. And the reusable cells obviously have a purpose. You could build a special cell renderer that does your amazing date layout if you wanted, or your amazing, ooh, that all went a bit wrong. Ah, there we go. Or your amazing list of data, which again is something of an improvement on that. And that really is what Quickviews is about. I refer you to the documentation if you would like any more. I've got one other thing to say, and that is, although this rendering is generic, so it just always looks a bit like admin, you could either tweak it to kind of look a bit more like you would like it to look, or you can in fact replace a lot, because in unifying all the views, I also fitted as well as the widgets and so forth, the cell rendering. I also fitted Django's media mix-in, so all of you people can just go mad with your CSS, either overriding or actually completely replacing the CSS for these views. Last word about the detail view. Let's go and look at a page on a fairly conventional website. Whoop, here we go. Let's have a look down the detail here. So, if you had gone to work with a little bit of CSS on the quick view detail, you could end up with that. Who needs HTML, huh?